Hi, I'm Kathy Barker from Software Solutions. Kia ora and welcome to my video on Microsoft Whiteboard. But not just Microsoft Whiteboard, because I've already done a video on that. Microsoft Whiteboard using Copilot. Copilot to help you draft content with Whiteboard. And also incorporating that into Teams. Now, in Teams, in a chat, or during a meeting, or even after a meeting, or even before a meeting, you can create a whiteboard to share with others and collaborate with others. So let's have a look at this. So I'm in a meeting and let's say I want to bring up my whiteboard. So I go to share. And if I go to share, then I've got Microsoft Whiteboard here because I want to share it with others in my meeting. And here's a number of whiteboards I've already created, but let's say I want to create a new whiteboard. So I click this. Now this option here, before I click this, start with follow me. Follow me means that people can see where I'm panning to, where I'm zooming in and zooming out, and they can actually easily follow me. If I just share the whiteboard and I don't choose to follow me, they won't know where my mouse is or what I'm doing. So this is actually a good option to have on in the case of a meeting. So I'm going to go new whiteboard. Now what you'll notice at the bottom is there's a Copilot button. And what Copilot offers, as you can see here, are three options. It can suggest ideas and content. It can categorize your notes into a certain view, or it can summarize your notes in Whiteboard. So I'm going to click the suggest option. And here is where I type what I want it to suggest. Here, suggest ways to optimize my website for organic search without using social media. I'll choose that option rather than type one, and I'll click Generate Suggestions. So here is the content that Copilot has suggested as ways to optimize my website. I can also click on Edit if I want to edit my original prompt. So I've asked here for ways that I can improve employee satisfaction, given that we're working on a large project and people are working really hard and doing long hours away from family. So this is what Copilot has suggested. So in a meeting or before a meeting or after a meeting, you can actually use Copilot in Whiteboard to suggest answers to a particular question. If I want more, I'll generate more. And so I've got now 12 suggestions. And again, like I mentioned, I can delete any I don't want, and I can also edit my prompt. I'm going to click Insert. And so immediately, Whiteboard has inserted these suggestions as a collection of sticky notes. So the suggest feature is used to spark ideas on a certain topic. I can spark some more ideas just by simply right-clicking over here and choosing suggest and asking it to give me more ideas about how I could do something. I could also go here and choose the suggest option as well. So you can use the suggest option more than once. These sticky notes can be moved, they can be colored, and the group can then spend time in the meeting discussing them, adding more detail, and thinking which ones are going to apply. I can always move my mouse backward and forward, as you can see here, and I can zoom in and zoom out. I can click on a particular sticky note and edit anything. If any of the team likes this particular suggestion, they can do a reaction to a sticky note. So I can give it the thumbs up, or I can give it the heart. And people can go through and I can see which ones got the most thumbs up in terms of the number, or which ones got the most hearts. And zoom back. We saw that we could use the mouse wheel to go forward and the mouse wheel to go backwards to zoom in and out. We also have some zoom controls here where we can zoom in and zoom out. It also mentions that Alt- is zoom out and Alt+ is zoom in. And also there's a fit to screen option here as well if I want to see the whole lot. And then zoom in again. I just use my mouse wheel. As far as panning around goes, you really want to hold your mouse down and then drag to start panning to the right. Hold your mouse down and pan by dragging to the left. Hold the mouse down, drag up, hold the mouse down and drag down. If you've got a touch screen, of course, you can just use your touch screen. If I use the control and arrow keys, that's another way of moving to the left, moving up and moving to the right. Now, when you want to organize your ideas that you've been brainstorming with Whiteboard, Copilot offers a categorize option. Now, the categorize option doesn't work with text box, but it does work with sticky notes. And so what I might do if I move my mouse wheel back, I might decide that I want to categorize let me just change the colors of some of these. I'll change that to orange, that one to orange. I'll hold the shift key and I'll click each of these three. And I'll hit the drop down here and I'll choose categorize. And you can see here that the whiteboard has categorized those three into a group. So eventually I've got Copilot to categorize these particular sticky notes into ideas that will help us improve employee satisfaction. And the third thing that Copilot can do with regards to Microsoft Whiteboard, it can actually summarize note content. And here is a summary of what we've put together using Microsoft Copilot inside of Microsoft Whiteboard. And it summarized the information, including a picture of our sticky notes. This is actually a loop component. Check out my videos on Microsoft Loop. So I can actually copy this component, put it in a Teams chat, or put it in an email and email it to people, and people will be able to easily edit and collaborate on this particular loop component without actually having to go to this whiteboard to edit it. So you can collaborate easily on it. And we can decide who has access by clicking this button. So I'll keep it. So use Copilot and Microsoft Whiteboard to suggest ideas, and it'll give you a collection of sticky notes, to then help you organize those ideas once you've edited them, reviewed them, and customized them using the categorize feature, and then summarize what it is that you've come up with using Microsoft Whiteboard. Now, this can be before a meeting and then you just share this with your team, or this can be during a meeting and people can follow you, that option here, or it can be even after a meeting where you're asking Copilot to perhaps put together and summarize or suggest or categorize based on some meeting notes. So think outside the box. This button here allows you to share this whiteboard with others. So you can put a name in here or a group or an email, add a message, or just copy a link. And if you go into the settings, you can decide who gets that link and whether they can just view or whether they can actually edit the whiteboard. Using this button here, you can get into the settings where you're able to export this whiteboard, for example, as an image, or whether you do or don't want to see the cursors as many people collaborate on this whiteboard in a meeting. Sometimes it's distracting to see all those cursors moving around with people's names, so you can actually say don't show the collaborative cursors, whether other participants can edit or not, and you can even format the background. So there's a few settings in there as well. If you want to turn off the follow me, just click this option here, and basically participants are now following me. And if I click this here, I can stop them from following me and they can go off and do their own thing. We looked at the zooming controls, and ultimately when I want to go back to all my other whiteboards, I hit the home button here, which takes me to the whiteboard gallery. I can then open up another whiteboard to continue working on something, or I can open up a new whiteboard to start from fresh. Notice also here there's another Copilot button. If I click this Copilot button, I can start transcription. Have a look at some of my other videos on Copilot and Teams. If you start transcription, it starts transcribing all the words that are said during the meeting, and then you can use that information after the meeting and during the meeting to get key points, etc. But to stop sharing my whiteboard with others, I'll just click the stop sharing button. And so that's Microsoft Whiteboard in a team. Let me just leave the team. If I want to use Microsoft Whiteboard outside of Teams, I actually on my PC go to the Microsoft Store. And I've actually downloaded, as you can see at the bottom here, the application Microsoft Whiteboard. And so this is the desktop application version of Microsoft Whiteboard, and I can then create whiteboards and work with whiteboards, not necessarily in a meeting, but I might actually just create a whiteboard like a Kanban or something or other, just in preparation for a meeting. So you don't have to operate it during a meeting. Look at my other whiteboard video to find out more about just using Whiteboard and not using Whiteboard with Copilot. I hope you've enjoyed this video. My name is Kathy Barker. Ka kite.